there must be something wrong here. As a lot of people frowned against the invitation of Chinese doctors into Nigeria, people said Nigerian doctors have the ability to handle this. All they need are molecular biologists, molecular scientists. That's all that is needed. If they need to, share ideas, that's not a problem. In fact, Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of IPOB, also frowned at this. He said that these Chinese doctors coming to Nigeria have some other very terrible intentions, clandestine intentions, to probably vaccine and destroy people even more. We've heard and seen videos of French scientists and doctors talking about how they will test the COVID-19 vaccine on Africans. And you know what that means? Africans to them is like a guinea pig. It's like we are nobody. And sometimes we want to look at this. Why? Because over time, the leaders have not shown to them that we are much more than what you think. Well, recently it is reported that 3 out of the 17 both pilot and flight attendants who flew the 14 Chinese medical doctors and also brought in the medical supplies from China to Nigeria on Wednesday had boycotted the Lagos State Quarantine Center provided by the Lagos State government. This investigation is coming by Sunday Punch newspaper. The crew who flew Air Peace Boeing 777-200ER jumbo jet from China landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. The pilots and flight attendants later on Wednesday proceeded to Lagos quarantine section, isolation center, quarantine section that Lagos State government had brought up in line with the agreement with the Ministry of Health and of course the Center for Disease Control and according to the World Health Organization. In fact, it is reported that the Chinese were also quarantined, isolated. That is the story we heard. There are different rumors flying back and forth as regards that. Some say they actually came to treat Abba Kyari and many of the top politicians that have the, very sick, most of them. Anyway, the pilots and flight attendants, they said they moved in there to where they are supposed to be isolated. The Chinese medical personnel were quarantined in Abuja as they reported. Air Peace partnered the federal government to ferry in the 14-member Chinese medical team, I think 14 or 15, from China to Nigeria. The Chinese team brought about 16 tons of test kits, ventilators, disinfection machine, disposable medical mask, N95 mask, medications, rubber gloves, protective gowns, goggles, face shields, infrared thermometers, and many other equipment that are needed for this particular pandemic, COVID-19. The Minister of Health, Dr. ШH0XCKING, who was at the airport to receive the Chinese doctors and their supplies, said the team would be quarantined for 2 weeks. That is what we were told, and that is the practice. They should be quarantined for 2 weeks for them to see if any of them have already contacted the virus, as it is reported that many people, medical practitioners, have contacted this virus when they are out there taking care of the people with the virus and also amongst their own family members. After all, they are also humans like every other person. He said they knew that before they came and they have undergone tests before they left their country. Nevertheless, they will be in quarantine for 14 days. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control has gone to see where they will be quarantined. ANRA added that the equipment they brought will assist a lot to fill some existing gaps. We have 50 more ventilators. That is what he claimed, that he brought 50 more ventilators that they brought in. However, Sunday Punch investigation showed that the flight crew members disagreed with the health services officials on duty, the port health services officials on duty at Lagos Airport over the 14-day compulsory quarantine. They said they are not going to be quarantined. That I see as a very unwise move. We are not talking about a virus that we are not talking about virus that you can just take some pills and that's the end of it. We are talking of a virus that will actually shake your immune system to the core, and if you are not so healthy, you might end up dying. So I wouldn't know why they decided against being quarantined. They decided against being quarantined. They refused to be quarantined. And I expected them to do more better than this. If they wanted to be self-isolated, let's use the word self-isolated. Quarantine means you already have the virus. If they want to be self-isolated, if the government cannot come up with a place that is suitable for them, because I'm beginning to look into why they do not want to. Is it that the place that they want to isolate them is not good enough? Then the APs that are sent them out there because they are risking their lives, the APs that are sent them there should be able to find a very good accommodation for them to be quarantined, to be self-isolated for that 14 days. But they refused anyway. That is the story here. They refused the 14 days compulsory quarantine. The Port Health Services is a unit of the Ministry of Health that screens arriving and departing passengers of infectious disease, especially the COVID-19. They did the same during Ebola. On arrival at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, at about 10 p.m. on Wednesday, the flight crew, on arrival at I think they arrived first at Murtala, or I think they landed straight at Nnamdi Azikiwe airport. They refused to be quarantined. Ministry of Health confirmed that the pilots and cabin crew members claimed their management did not inform them of the 14-day compulsory quarantine. As such, the flight personnel initially refused to follow the port health officials to the quarantine center provided by the Lagos state government. There was subsequently a heated exchange that lasted for about 3 hours over the 14-day compulsory quarantine between the crew and the port health officials. Of course, they will not allow them get into the city. After several calls by the port officials on duty to top officials of the Ministry of Health in Abuja, as well as top officials of the Lagos State Ministry of Health, the crew members bowed to the pressure and agreed to go to the quarantine center at about 1 a.m. I think they left in Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport and they flew them down to Lagos State, something like that, so as to quarantine them in Lagos State. On arriving at the Scholars Lodge at the University of Lagos, where the state government had prepared for the crew to be quarantined around 2 a.m., another debate ensued over the type of apartment provided. Now I say that there must be something wrong there. When they go to that Scholars Lodge at UNILAG, University of Lagos, Scholars Lodge, where they've already arranged, since there is no school at the moment, so they took one of the hostels, one of the lodge, Scholars Lodge, that's what it's called, and they took one of them, probably prepared it for such. They said, no, we are not going to stay in this type of apartment. The crew members insisted that they wanted a single user apartment for each member of the crew instead of the 2-bedroom apartment meant to be shared by 2 persons, which the state provided. Now they want 1 room for 1 person. I think, well, it depends anyway, because we've seen cases abroad in Europe, America, where there are much more than 1 person. But the idea of self-isolation is actually for you to be by yourself. But then, if they've been together, there is a possibility that they must have shared things together. So if they keep them together, it's a dicey topic here. It's a dicey issue here. If they keep them together, two in a room, depends on the size of the room. I think somehow it's not. But let's look at it. What if they are male and female? It's a serious issue there. Top health officials told Sunday Punch the crew asked officers on duty to take them to another facility as the apartment were not the type they wanted. This debate, it was learned, went on for another 3 hours until 5 a.m. before the crew finally agreed to stay at the center. So they had nothing else to do. Meanwhile, before the crew departed the Lagos airport, one of the crew members had escaped and left apparently for his house unknown to the port health officials. This was not discovered until Thursday evening when a head count was conducted at the quarantine center. It was also at this time officials discovered that the 2 out of the 16 crew members brought to the Scholars Lodge had escaped. 2 people also escaped. Now, it's not good because at the end of the day, you need to think of your family members. Very important. And moreover, they are supposed to provide at least a place for you to stay, a place you feel comfortable. We are talking of 14 days. It's not just 2 days. You're going to stay in there, shower, stay in, eat, shower, stay in, eat there for the rest of the days. Now, the Ministry of Health and Lagos State government had reached out to the management of the airline over the whereabouts of the 2 crew members. As of the time of this report, it is not yet to be ascertained where the 2 crew members were. When contacted on Friday, the Director of Port Health Services, Ministry of Health, Dr. Morenike Alex Okol, in her reaction, said she was not authorized to speak on the matter. She directed the correspondent to the Minister of Health. I think they don't want to say anything as regards this. But when you look at this, the health risk of the crew leaving the quarantine, having met several other contacts during that period, I don't think it's healthy. It's not good. It's not okay. They need to think of their family members. They need to think of their family members. Now, they said that the crew members who left the quarantine center had returned back to the facility and they've met with other family members and other people. Peace also confirmed the development but did not explain the reasons the crew members left the facility. The Chief Operating Officer, Peace, Mrs. Toyin Olajide, in a text message to Sunday Punch, said all crews are back in the quarantine facility, including the engineer. So I don't know. I think this is no country is ready for this or prepared for this anyway. But I think at this time that we are in, it's time for them to begin to revamp the health sector. We heard that they are actually doing a little bit of that at the moment. They are trying to revamp the health sector with some few they're trying to put up some things because they have nowhere to hide. They have nowhere to go to. I think they should do much more better than what they are actually doing at the moment. So guys, if you have any family member that is not ready to be self-isolated, if you have a place, I don't know, maybe for ease of administering and also watching over them, maybe that's why they decide to keep them in one place. But I don't know if one of the top politicians is sharing room with any other person, you see. So every other person can actually be kept as much as for 2-3 people. I don't know how much people they're keeping in a room, but in this case it's just 2 people. But anyway, I don't know what you guys think. Do you think these people have done the best thing to have left, notwithstanding the situation of the place they brought them in? And they must have met their family members. It's a very dangerous move. That is my own personal opinion. You should have done that. At least they can still talk to their family members on phone, and if at the end of the day they do not come up with the symptoms, it's just a sacrifice. It's quite unfortunate that it is so. That's what it is for now.